Good day, class! Today, we will talk about the inverse function. Ano ba yung inverse function? Paano ba ito nakukuha? At ano yung specific function na pwede nating kuhanan ng kanyang inverse? Also, pag-uusapan din natin ang exponential equation, exponential function, at yung real-life application ng function na ito. Let's start with the inverse function. Inverse function, by definition, is a process that undoes the action of another function. So we have its symbol, f negative 1 of x. Ano bang ibig sabihin ng inverse function na ito? Given the value ng input na nakakuha natin from the usual function that we evaluate, inverse function can help us determine naman the input. Dito sa inverse function, yung output ng isang function ang kino-consider niya as the input. Then, ang magiging output nito ay yung input naman ng nasabing function. Paano ba natin mahanap yung inverse function? Dito may nakalist tayong step. First, replace f of x to y. Then, change y as x and x as y, then solve for y. Change y to f negative 1 of x as its inverse function. And to check, we just substitute the given output to determine the input. So to understand the concept, punta tayo sa example. Given that f of x is equal to 4x plus 5 and f of 3 is equal to 17, what is the inverse function? For our solution, una, isulat muna natin yung given function. F of x is equal to 4x plus 5. So, step 1, replace f of x to y. Naaral natin sa discussion natin about the concept of function na itong f of x, it can also be written as y. Dito sa pagkuha ng inverse function, this information is very important. So, from f of x, that is equal to 4x plus 5, we will write it as y is equal to 4x plus 5. That's the step 1. Step 2, change y as x and x as y, then solve for y. So, gawin mo lang x yung y. Then, yung y naman, gagawin nating x. Magkakaroon tayo ng x is equal to 4y plus 5. Then, we can now solve for y. Itong positive 5, transpose lang sa side ng x. We will have x minus 5 equal to 4y. Divide 4 on both sides para maalis natin yung coefficient ng y. We will have x minus 5 all over 4. That is equal to 4y over 4. Then simplify, meron tayong x minus 5 over 4 that is equal to y. Now for the last step, change y to f negative 1 of x as its inverse function. Itong y natin sa x minus 5 over 4 that is equal to y, yung y papalitan lang ng symbol ng inverse function. Magkakaroon tayo ng x minus 5 all over 4 that is equal to f negative 1 of x. Ito na yung ating final answer. So, x minus 5 all over 4 that is equal to f negative 1 of x. This is the inverse function of f of x that is equal to 4x plus 5. Tingin tayo sa given. We have f of x that is equal to 4x plus 5 and f of 3 that is equal to 17. Ibig sabihin nito, ang x value natin ay equal kay 3, magre-return ito ng output na 17. Now, to check kung tama ba yung nakuha nating inverse function, use the output 17 as the input of our inverse function. Evaluate it and we must get positive 3 as the output. Let's use our calculator technique, specifically the calc. To execute the checking, sulat lang natin yung ating inverse function sa calculator. x minus 5 all over 4. Then press calc sa baba ng shift. Then tatanungin kayo what is the value of x. Ang value ng x natin ay yung output ng original function. So that is 17. Then press equal. Dapat ang answer natin ay positive 3. So positive 3 ang answer. Therefore, ang ating inverse function ay correct. That is the concept of inverse function. Take note na one-to-one function lang ang pwedeng makuhanan ng inverse function. Let's proceed with the concept of exponential function. Exponential function, this is the product of a coefficient which is a real number and another real number raised to a variable x. We have the form f of x that is equal to a times b raised to x. Ayan ang example natin. F of x that is equal to 2 raised to x. Napag-usapan na natin ito briefly under the discussion of types of function. I hope you can remember. When we see a variable x that is a degree or an exponent of a real number, we consider that an exponential function. Itong exponential function, it can be used to measure growth, interest, and decay, and mas specific topics like human population, bacteria, compound interest, half-life, and so on. We will dig more on that sa second quarter, especially sa interest. For now, let's evaluate exponential equation and exponential function. Let's have an example dito sa exponential equation. Ano nga ba ang goal natin kapag pinag-uusapan ng equation? Kailangan nating mahanap yung value ng x so that we can represent na kung nasa ang side siya, equal lang yung expression niya doon sa kabila. Okay, so we have here 8 raised to x that is equal to 2. Sa pag-evaluate nito manually, we need to recall the properties of exponent. Itong base natin na 8, kailangan hanapan natin ng expression in terms of 2, which is yung value doon sa kanan. So 2 times 2, we have 4. Then times 2 ulit, that is 8. So pwede nating sabihin na 8 is just equal to 2 times 2 times 2, or 2 raised to 3. Given that, we can write our equation as 2 raised to 3 multiplied by the exponent x. That is equal to 2 raised to 1. So, pag nakakita tayo ng ganito, constant or any variable without a visible exponent, ibig sabihin meron niyang exponent na 1. So, meron tayo sa kanan na 2 raised to 1. Since we have the same base on both sides, we can equate the exponents with each other. We will have 3x that is equal to 1. Tapos, we can solve na for the value of x. So, divide 3 on both sides para mawala yung coefficient na 3 sa ating x. We will have x that is equal to 1 over 3. That is our final answer. For our calculator technique, yes, we can use the shift solve para malaman yung value ng x ng mas mabilis. Sa ating calculator, gayahin mo lang yung mismong equation na binigay. So, 8 raised to the variable x equal to 2. Check the operations, check the exponent. Then, press shift, then calc, 0, and then equal. We will have our x value that is equal to 1 over 3. Sa ating exponential function naman, this is our example. We have g of x that is equal to 3 raised to x. So, gamit tayo ng calculator. Kung isa lang ang hinihinging output, for example, g of negative 2 lang, ang calculator technique for that ay yung calc lang. So, input lang natin yung g of x natin sa ating calculator. We have 3 raised to x. Press calc. Then the value of x is negative 2. We will have our g of negative 2 when you press equal, that is equal to 0.11. Kung maramihan naman, katulad nung hinihingi sa atin, g of negative 2, g of negative 1, g of 0, g of 1, and g of 2, we can use the mode 7 or yung table. Okay, so click lang natin yung mode and then hanapin mo yung number ng table. So, ayun, 7. So, press 7. So, dito sa f of x, lagay mo lang yung ating g of x, that is 3 raised to x. Itong g of x naman, 0. Since isa lang naman yung exponential function natin, equal. For the start, we have negative 2. Yun yung unang-unang value ng x sa ating table, negative 2. And then, end. Yung nasa pinakakanan na value ng x or yung nasa pinakadulo, that is positive 2. And then for the step, 1 lang yan. Then equal. We will have our value of x with their specific output. So for negative 2, we have 0.11. When x is negative 1 naman, ang output ay 0.33. Pag 0 ang x, ang output ay 1. Pag 1 ang x, ang output ay 3. And pag 2 ang x, ang output natin ay 9. So that is it for our discussion for the inverse and exponential function. And that is the end of our first quarter. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. See you on the next one.